All right, first let me thank Liberty Park Baptist Church. Scott, thank you very much for allowing us to be here at the church tonight to make this presentation. And we do have another council member come in, Jim Sharp is on our council too. So the only one missing tonight is David Carrington. He had another obligation. My responsibility is kind of go over the history. Everybody seems to think that this is kind of a new idea to the city of Vestavia Hills. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. Back in 1970, the city of Vestavia Hills had a little conflict between the mayor and the council. At that time, they just didn't get along. And the council decided, well, the best thing to do by law, we can go out and bring a manager in, a city manager, and we can let him run the city. Well, the problem is, just like Steve had mentioned and Mary Lee mentioned, you know, the mayor at that time was elected by the people to run the city. And that's what he said. I'm here to run the city. I was elected to do that. Mr. City Manager, I don't need you. I'm adequate to run the city. And so it was an ongoing battle constantly between the city manager, the mayor, and the council at that time. And finally, the city manager said, after about a year, he said, thank you, I'm moving on, and went to work for another municipality up north. So you can look at that and see, when we talk about the situation at Mountain Brook with the mayor, council, and the manager form of government, it works good as long as everybody is in harmony. But if it's not, it can create problems within the community. I can tell you from history, because I've been with the city for 41 years, we were the laughing stock of the Birmingham News. We had all kind of cartoons every time we had a meeting. Because it was a three-ring service. So when we started looking at that, we thought, no, we need to do something different. We can all work together, but what's going to be in the future of Vestavia Hills? We don't know. The other was, I guess in 2000, we had a wholesale change in administration. We had a new mayor come in, and we had 4 new council members come in. When Scotty McCallum came in as mayor, in 2001, he decided, you know, we need to look at the city manager. The city was still growing at that time. It's not as big as it is now, but it was growing. And he thought, well, we need a city manager. He posed that to the council at the time, and the council said, look, we're just coming in, we're making wholesale changes already anyway. This is too much. We don't need to do that. Let's put that off for a while. And we rocked along for a while with it. Late in 2008, in Scotty McCallum's term, he called me upstairs because I was in the fire department downstairs, and he called me upstairs, and he knew that I was going to put my hat in the ring to run for mayor, and he said, Butch, he said, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to propose to the council at that time to look at the city manager concept for the city of Vestavia Hills. He said, no reflection on you, but I think we need a professional manager. And I said, well, none taken, but went ahead and did it. He introduced it to the council at that time. The council said, look, we're going through some changes with our new group coming in. Why don't we get a chance to get our feet on the ground and look at it and see what we can do? And as Steve mentioned, the word came back was, well, let's form a task force and look at it. And they formed the task force with the 6 people. And the 6 people came back with unanimous that we need to look at the city manager form of government. So that's kind of the brief history of what went on. It's not something new in Vestavia Hills. It's been around for a long time. The task force, when they looked at it, again, like Steve said, they didn't have the 4th option. And we really sat down and decided that we needed to go in and look. We didn't need districts. That was the consensus from everybody. Our community is already divided enough. We've got Old Vestavia, we've got Cahaba Heights, and then we've got Liberty Park. And we constantly hear it when we were on the campaign trail that we've got 3 separate cities. And we were trying to bring everybody up under the same umbrella as the city of Vestavia Hills. And if we went to districts, we would just segregate it off again, and we didn't want that. So we went and met with our senators and our House representatives in our area, and said, look, this is what we want to do. We want to pass a bill. And here's what we want the bill to say, and here's what we want the bill to do. They thought it was a very good idea. We introduced the bill. It went right on through, unanimous consent in the House and unanimous consent in the Senate. Then it went on to the governor's office, and he signed the bill. And then we had to go ahead and go through the Department of Justice, as Steve referenced, and we got that word back. It normally takes them 6 weeks, but we stayed constantly in touch with them to see if we could answer questions for them, the makeup of the community, nationalities of the community. Everything went well, and they came back within just a short period of time and gave us the ruling that we passed muster, and we could go ahead and move forward. So that's where we are now. We've already had 3 forums before. We're trying to do the forums here tonight to kind of bring you up to date. I can encourage you to go to www.vestaviahills.net. There's material there. We do have it passed out on the table back here. That's the same material that's on the website. But if you want to get some information, or you can call any of us, and we'll be glad to share any of the information that we've got and that we've researched. You know, and I think David Carrington made a point last night. This is not something that we took lightly. We worked at it. We didn't just wake up one morning and say we want a city manager. We spent almost 2 years getting to this stage right here and getting to this election. The answer is, we want you to vote on the 24th. That was our whole goal to start with, was the citizens tell us what you want us to do. Whether you want to change the form of government or whether you want to keep it as is. You know, we talk about part-time, and that's what it is. It's a part-time position. There's no time limit in the state code. I can work 2 hours a day. I can work 1 day a week. And nobody can do anything about it. But we can look back at history and we see what happens in Vestavia Hills. We had Sarah Wasta, who was the mayor back in the late 80s. She was there every day of the week. Pat Reynolds was there 3 terms. He was there every day of the week. Scotty McCallum, I don't know how the man did it, but he was there every day. And he would work up until 9 and 10 o'clock at night, come in on the weekends. You know, I look at it and I say, Vestavia Hills is not a small city anymore. When I started in 1969, we had probably 4,000 or 5,000 folks. And everybody knew everybody and it was fine. But we're now at 32,000. And we truly think when the new census comes on, we're going to be at 35,000. We need somebody that's going to be here to run the city constantly. The city manager has that skill set. I got a chance to work under the city manager. Right now, I tell this story. You know, the city manager, he goes to school for this. He gets educated in it. He works for municipalities. He understands. When I went to him as a fire chief and said, I need some fire hose, 2.5-inch fire hose, he knew what I was talking about. If I went to and nothing against elected officials, but if I went to somebody and said I need a 2.5-inch fire hose, it would be Greek to them. They don't know. And what I've seen over the 41 years that I've been here, usually it takes an elected official at least a year to a year and a half to get up to speed in how government operates. Everybody says, we want it to operate like a business. Well, you can to a certain extent. But we are tied by law in certain things that we can and can't do. And it takes a while to learn, and it's changing every day. Every time we turn around, somebody decides that they want to put a new mandate on you, but it doesn't give you any money to do the mandate. But it takes somebody that stays constantly involved with it. And that's what I've seen over these years. That city manager will be able to do that. So I want you to get back, look at the research, and decide for yourself what you need to do. We're looking at it, or I'm looking at it, not from a political standpoint. I'm looking at it, what is best for Vestavia Hills in the future. And the best is, to me, in my opinion, is to have the professional manager there running the city. You know, people tell me, Butch, they're taking your power away. Well, as you can see, my power is to make sure your garbage gets picked up and make sure everybody gets a paycheck and make sure that the parks are clean. But the true aspects of government runs with the council. And I've heard in a couple of forums that we've had is we're giving more power to the council. And I can quote Pat Boone, who is our city attorney. And he has drilled this in old hard head many a day. Butch, y'all can only do what the state law allows you to do, from the mayor and the council. There's no more power that we can get that's not already in the books. Unless we have laws changed and we have to go through the legislature to do that. So, you look at it, it just makes sense to look at the future of Vestavia Hills and make that decision. So again, thank you.